Well, we're pitchside at the Pure Stadium for the latest in our series looking at the work of volunteers at the club, and this is the only place to be for a chat with club photographer Julia Urwin. The one guarantee when you come to a Southport game is that whatever the weather, Julia will be here in her spot with a high-vis vest on, looking to get those fantastic matchday images. Julia, you've done many things at the club which we'll talk about shortly, but I know the club photographer is something that you get a lot of enjoyment from. What are the things that make it so special from your point of view?
I think basically getting that photograph that everybody wants, really. It's getting that special moment, which I don't always do, but when I do, it makes me feel good, and I know the media team love it, especially the celebrations of goals. I like it when I can get the goal itself, but the celebration photos are good as well. So it's getting that special moment, I think, and also being able to get the special moments of winning trophies, being, part of that sort of group, and getting the photos that everybody wants to see, really.
So you're club photographer, but a supporter first and foremost.
Yeah.
In terms of supporting Southport, how did it all begin?
Right, well, the family moved to Southport in 1966. My dad was a sports fan, but he was mainly rugby because we'd come from near St Helens, Rainford, and we had a corner shop, so he couldn't really come on a Saturday to the football, but we did come on a Friday night sometimes, and my very first match was on the 10th of October 1966. It was against Barrow. We won 4-1, and we stood in the paddock in front of the old wooden stand.
Right, yeah.
Obviously the wooden stand burnt down that Christmas, didn't it? I think once you come, it's in your blood. Well, it was with me anyway. That was it. It was in my blood, and I've just, come ever since, really.
So once you start coming as a fan, you then obviously start volunteering. Give us an idea of some of the roles you've done at the club and when you started volunteering.
The volunteering really came after, because I went to teacher training college for 3 years between 73 and 76. So it really sort of took off after that when I came home, and the biggest one, I suppose, that got me into it was helping out in the promotions office, which is now the ticket office at the Blowick End, and we used to do the bingo cards. My mum used to sell them in the shop. Charlie Powell used to bring them for us, so I got to know Charlie well, and I sort of fell into it, I suppose. I also knew Bob Sibbald very well and family, because they live around the corner from us, and they used to come in the shop, and so I sort of got involved that way. I also used to babysit for them, for their 2 boys, and in a sort of few later years used to babysit for Hugh Fisher's children as well. But then in 83 we moved away because of Rob's work, and it wasn't really until we came back then we got friendly with Hayden. Rob was helping out with the programme. We helped in the shop, and eventually I took over the running of the shop. Yeah.
I suppose one of the great things about being involved in a club like this is you get to meet so many good people, you get friends for life.
You do.
And as you say, you mentioned Rob, obviously through the club you've met someone very special, haven't you?
Yeah, I have, and I say it's the best thing to come out of Southport Football Club. I'm not sure he would say the same for me, but I mean, it was our love of the football club that we actually met on a sponsored walk, which was, I was trying to think, it was either 78 or 79 we did a sponsored walk, and that's how I think I first met Rob, who was friendly with Richard Griffiths, who I already knew. So yeah, it is a special place, and we've still got the love of the club together, and it's that interest that we can do together. A lot of my friends say, oh, you're really lucky because you've got that joint interest, you've got that thing that you can do. You can go off like at weekends and go to the away matches and have little weekends away now that we're retired and that, you know. So we are lucky, yeah, in that sense. It was good.
So the photography then, how did that start? When did it start?
Right. I used to take our little Fine Pix digital camera around and take the odd photo. Didn't really sort of get very good ones at all, although I did get a really good one of Carl Baker at the back of him when he'd taken a corner at Harrogate when we won the championship. And the actual photograph, I'm not even sure you can see the ball in the net, but it had gone in. And he was the first person to react to the fact that we'd scored the goal. I think it was the first goal. And his arms are up in the air. And if you look around, none of the fans have got their arms up in the air, but Carl has. Carl's got his arms in the air. He was the first one to react to it. But I suppose I got into it more. We bought, for our silver wedding, we bought a good camera, a single lens reflex camera. And I started taking a few more, and it was Hayden really that persuaded me that, you know, get yourself a license, because to be able to take them with a better camera you really should have the license from the National League, which all photographers are supposed to have if they're taking them. So I applied for one and got one, and then I started going pitch side. At that time Sally was also doing photography for the club as well, so there was the two of us, and we, you know, she didn't mind me coming. She was very good. We got on really well, and she'd perhaps be in one part of the ground and I'd be in another, so we'd cover all angles, you know. So that was really sad when Sally passed away, which was 2011, a long time ago now really. So from then on I think the media has made my job bigger in a way, because our media has developed so much in the last 9-10 years, hasn't it? And they want more photographs. You want more photographs. Rob wants more photographs. So it is, I mean, my worst nightmare is Rob saying, oh, we're coming up to the 500th league match or whatever it is, you know, and it's going to be the second one on Saturday. Yes, all right, Rob, I'll try and get it, you know.
Well, you mentioned there about the different things we ask of you, and I think from most people's point of view, they'll see you here pitch side and think it's just a case of taking the photos for the 90 minutes, but between Rob and myself, we put all manner of requests on you. What sort of demands do you have to put up with from us lot?
I suppose the biggest one at the beginning of the season, just before the season starts, is the head and shoulders and the team photographs. I've worked with children all my life, either voluntary or professionally, and I know there's a saying that never work with children or animals, but I always say never work with children, animals or footballers because it can be a nightmare sometimes, to put it bluntly. I think in the last few years it's not just been a case of head and shoulders either, has it? It's been a case of getting the, you know, the arms folded down by your side behind, turning at an angle, which they find quite embarrassing. They don't like doing it at all. And I've got to do some this afternoon, haven't I? But that is probably the biggest part of the job. Like I say, the other is Rob saying he wants such a goal, the second one this afternoon you've got to get because it's such a milestone, you know. And there's also, I mean, I also do the man of the match after so when I go from the pitch side, doesn't matter what I look like, whether I'm wet through, bedraggled or whatever, I then have to go into the sponsors lounge and I take the man of the match photos. There's before the match, there's the corporate photos that we take as well. So, you know, anything that they want doing. And lately, since we've been retired, Rob and I have been doing things with the community. So if the community people are going somewhere and we can go, we will go.
Well, when we score a goal, you're here on the touchline,
yeah.
We're up on the media bench. When a goal goes in, we're up there. The first thing we think of, the most important thing for us, is not who's scored, what the score is, how they've scored. it's whether the lads are running over to Julia for the celebration photos. Just tell us what sort of instructions the lads are under when they score a goal and how good they are at complying with them.
Well, I can tell them till I'm blue in the face, but they will just still run to the nearest spot that they want to go to. Samo's getting better.
Samo's always been good.
Yeah, he's been good. We have some great shots of Samo coming with his arms wide open. The other week he'd celebrated and then he realised I was nearby, so he turned and did his arm fist punch, which I got, and it was great.
So in the time you've been doing the photos, we've had many ups and downs on the pitch, many managers, players, and you've been able to document them from a unique perspective, really.
Yeah.
Do you have favourite photos? What are the ones that stand out from your point of view?
One of my early favourite photos was a friendly, and I think I took it with the small camera, and it was a friendly against Chester, and Neil Robinson was playing, and he was in this part of the pitch here, and the picture actually looks as if he was horizontal to the ground. Looks as if he's levitating, and I was really quite proud of that in those days. I've actually got a copy of it, and Rob got it signed for me. He got the copy and got Robbo to sign it for me, so I've got that at home. So that's one of my long time favourites. An action one, a goal one, my very, very favourite one, and I had it on my computer as like the background for years, was one I took at Forest Green, and it was one of Earl's 7, was it, that he scored one particular season, and it's got the players watching. It's got Earl I think he'd kicked the ball that day, which was unusual for Earl, and the ball in the net, and the goalkeeper just watching it, just looking at it going past, and I was so proud of that one. I love that one. Another one that I've got signed, I've actually got a copy of and signed by the player, was one I took at Derby, and it was at the end of the match when David Raya Martin came towards the fans, and I was sat in front of the stands, and if I close in on the photo, you can actually see the tear in his eye just coming down. And when we went to see him at the training ground to get it signed and various other bits and pieces we wanted to see him about, he said he did have tears in his eyes. I said, I know, I can see it on the photo. So yeah, that's another special one for me.
Yeah, that was. Yeah. So when you get one a fantastic photo of Earl's, when you get a photo like that with the ball just inching across the line, how difficult is it to get the photo that split second of the goal going in? It's
just pure anticipation. Somebody once stood behind me and he said, I've been watching you in the match, he said, and it's all anticipation, isn't it? And I said, well, yes, it is. Like when a corner comes over, I've no idea where that corner is, where the ball's going to land. Very often I'll be trained in on the players sort of in the goal mouth, and it'll hit the person in the wall, or it'll hit the first person in the box. I've no idea where it's gone then. I've lost it. So it is a lot of anticipation, yeah. And very often I don't even know who scored a goal. I'll have to turn around and say, who scored that? Because behind the camera you see a very different match, really, yeah.
So you've got your action photos, your goal photos, but there are also the special ones which just show the pure emotion, whether that's the players, the fans. How good are those to capture? Yeah,
I mean, it's like the celebration, isn't it? I've got some lovely ones. I know the one of it was against Ashton, wasn't it? I think where the players were all together, and the look on Ryan's face. I love Ryan's face. He gives so many fabulous, expressions and emotions in his face and demeanour sometimes. So there's Regan's looking at the camera, and it's just that pure elation of the players as well that really makes it for me. I love photographs like that. And also the fans. I mean, the one I remember was actually a goal at Boreham Wood, and it was Rutherford's goal. And I've got the goal. Rutherford wasn't in the picture, but I've got the ball in the net, and I think it was Andy Bishop and Andy Wright that were either side of the goal, and they were you know, you can see the pleasure on their face, but it was just that little bit on the side of the photo where the fans were, and Noel was arms in the air and the delight on his face, so much so that I've actually now just got a photo of Noel celebrating as well as the full photo. It was just brilliant, and I love things like that.
Celebrating 2 goals from Rutherford, I think that's, that made Noel's day. That
I think, yeah.
Just finally, other favourite moments as a fan going back?
It has to be Wembley, doesn't it? I love that. I mean, unfortunately I wasn't taking photos then. That's one thing I'd like to do, be a photographer for Southport playing at Wembley. The atmosphere was just unbelievable, inside and outside Wembley. I sat on a concrete post at the entrance to the car park waving a Southport flag, and I waved every coach into the car park that had come down from Southport. It was just a day we never thought we'd see, I suppose, at Southport playing at Wembley. Just the result went the wrong way, but it's still the memory that I think Southport fans of that time will have, that will treasure.
Well, from a media point of view, I hope people appreciate how much we rely on you in terms of what we put together as a media team, in terms of what people see from the media output on a day-to-day basis, not just in terms of the fantastic quality of your photos, but how accommodating you are to us all and how dependable you are as well. So I think from a supporter point of view and a club point of view, thank you, and thanks for your time.
Thank you.